when you think about innovating, you need people to bring fresh perspectives and new ideas. And when we talk about diversity, automatically, and of course, a huge layer of that is race, gender, sexual orientation. But really, what comes with those life experiences is a difference of background and thought process and ways that you solve problems. Tech is industry agnostic. Everyone should be innovating right now. And if you want that, you need different perspectives.
Yeah.
Period.
Welcome to the CTRL ALT GAB podcast, where we sit down with tech founders to break down how they scale, pivot, and grow. I'm your host, Gabrielle Walthers. Let's dive in. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the CTRL ALT GAB podcast. We are here with the wonderful April Hicke. Thank you, April, for joining us. April is the founder and CEO of Toast, which is a very cool tech-enabled recruitment company. Thank you, April, for joining us. We're so happy to have you.
Thanks for having me. I'm very excited for this conversation.
Awesome. I am very curious to hear about your founder story and what led you to start Toast to tackle this huge gap that pretty much every professional woman or woman on earth has faced and felt.
Yeah.
What led you to leave the traditional corporate world and start your own company?
Yeah, like most entrepreneurs, I'm an accidental entrepreneur. Almost everyone I talk to says that that's what happens. We stumble into these spaces. Truly, I loved corporate ladder climbing, and I refer to myself often as a recovering corporate ladder climber. I love building relationships, and the politics of roles in corporate Canada were okay and easy for me to navigate because I am a people-y person. However, I understand that's not everyone's experience. I felt okay for a long time in the roles that I was in, and I was very driven. So I had a shit return to work after my second baby, and I had one particular experience where it was COVID. My baby was born in October of 2020. And my husband, I'm actually married to a WestJet pilot. So as you remember, in COVID, planes were on the ground. Not a lot of things were happening. It was really, really tough for us to navigate. And it just made financial sense for our family for me to return to work earlier. I went back when my son was 5 months old. Do not recommend. Don't do that. It was not great. I was breastfeeding and trying to manage these client relationships and all of these calls. And I also had gotten promoted, which was very exciting and really great that I worked for an organization that saw that value in someone returning from mat leave. So I came back to this new job ready to flex my muscles and show that I could prove where I was. I had this one particular day where I had missed a daily 15-minute stand-up call because my son's breastfeeding schedule was off. I never participated or added anything in this sprint call anyways, and so I missed it. I had a leader at the time who reached out to me and asked me why I missed the call. And I let her know very bluntly, my baby's feed schedule was off, I'm sorry. And she told me that I needed to get my priorities straight. And in that moment, I'm ashamed to say that I started supplementing with formula. I was very driven to show that I deserved to be where I was. When I look back now, it's so painful because I did have my priorities straight. Feeding my baby was the right priority. That was the first time that it really highlighted to me that these systems are not built for women. They're not built for moms. They're definitely not built for women of color. I had sought to join these different boards and organizations, and at the time, I had met my previous co-founder of Toast on a board, and she had already started building Toast. So she was experiencing the same things in her workplace, and she had started noodling with the idea of how do we create community for women? How do we start solving for some of these problems so that women aren't the only lonely onlys on their team? How do we make sure that whenever people want to make sure that there's more gender equity on their teams, that they can hire that? Because she was in an AI heavy role at the time, and she was trying to hire for her team, and no women even applied. Like, women just wouldn't even apply for the roles. And that's where the idea for Toast came about. So I actually came home one day from work. I had had a really negative day with my leader, and they were giving me this ultimatum at work. And I said to my husband, I'm quitting my job. And he was like, today? And I'm like, yeah, I'm going to leave today. And I didn't know what I was going to do next. Wasn't even sure that it was going to be Toast. At the time, I was chasing my co-founder to get her to bring me on board with her because I just thought it was such a brilliant idea. And I left, and that was it. Jumped in with both feet with Toast. I still just think it was the greatest decision I ever made. The scariest, as I'm sure you know, the scariest decision to leave behind a paycheck and some certainty over there. But yeah, that was it.
Yeah. Wow. Good for you. I'm sorry you had to go through that. And I'm grateful that you were able to share your story. It is a story that's shared by so many women. My partner is a bit older than me, so I'm in my late 20s. She's in her mid 30s.
Yeah.
A lot of her friends are at the stage where they're having their second kid. They're on their second mat leave. She has, there's a couple friends that are, looking for other work. And the strategy, and this is something I think a lot of people that don't childbear don't realize. There's a lot of strategy around the timing of pregnancies and do I not tell a new employer or do I tell them? And what is going to be the best? Because if I say the wrong thing at the wrong time, they're going to just screen me out. It's this delicate song that you have to play the game just to even be considered, which is insane.
It is. We have conversations about it in Toast all the time, in our Toast Slack. I tell people all the time, don't say anything. You actually legally don't have to say anything. That's a decision between you and your partner. And it sucks that it affects your career, but I have heard a lot of stories about women being quote unquote performance managed out of their roles once they'd been shared that they were pregnant or things of the sort. It's when in reality, do you tell me anyone that you see that works harder than like a working mom?
No, who has a better handle of their schedule and the organization that it takes to coordinate a household, let alone a household, a career, a partner's career.
Oh my gosh.
2 to 4 different schedules. It also touches on another problematic theme of the work that goes into the traditionally female roles too. And devaluing women's work at any stage in any position, whether it be in or outside of the home, leading to just not understanding the value that a woman can bring to your team. It's all wrapped up under the same misogynistic umbrella.
Yep. 100%. It's really fascinating too. I had a client once come to me and was like, I need an account executive and I only want women on my sales team. And this was a man. It's like a 50-year-old man. He was like, they build relationships better. They're more organized. They understand people. And I was like, thank you.
Yeah, you're right.
I know. I was like, yeah. And he's like, they're empathetic. They know how to sell. They listen better. He was like, I just want women on my sales team. And I was like, okay, great. Sounds good. There's still, when we talk, I have constantly right now, especially this year, when you look at the hugely traumatic and problematic things happening in the South, like south of us, I've had a lot of people come to me and be like, do you think DEI is dead or people don't care about it as much? I'm like, I think people who care about it are doubling down. And my inbox says the opposite. DEI is not dead because we are thriving at Toast and people still really, really want to invest in gender equity, which is great. Obviously, there's people that do not. We just don't give them any thought.
DEI and diverse equitable hiring is good for the organization. It's good for the performance of your team and the companies that are pushing that off and actively going against equitable hiring practices, that's going to be reflected in their reporting. 100%.
100%. And even in innovation though, right? And I speak about this often. When you think about innovating, you need people to bring fresh perspectives and new ideas. And when we talk about diversity, automatically, and of course, a huge layer of that is race, gender, sexual orientation. But really what comes with those life experiences is a difference of background and thought process and ways that you solve problems. If you hire the same white guy from University of Waterloo over and over and over again, you build your whole team with that, you're not going to get someone who comes in with fresh ideas and thinks about something differently because they've all had that same, I mean, maybe they do, but not likely. And that's why if you're innovative, which you have to be right now, because every company is a freaking tech company right now.
Yeah.
Like tech is industry agnostic. Everyone, even if you're in transportation, you're doing like supply chain and procurement tech, whatever it is, everyone should be innovating right now in this world that we live in. And if you want that, you need different perspectives.
Yeah.
period.
To make anything good, you have to have different perspectives.
100%.
Anytime your life and your setting and your workplace becomes an echo chamber, like, you should be afraid something is
100%.
wrong.
Even in relationships and
Yeah.
friendship, right? Like, I don't know about your partner, but my partner challenges my thinking all the time. And I
My
love it.
partner challenges my thinking. I could tell you 3 times this morning. And that's good. I don't want a person that's just telling me what I want to hear, because
No,
that's not an honest person
no,
with integrity. That's
no,
not someone that's going to push you to grow. That's not someone that's going to grow your company. That's not a good business partner to have. That's not a good relationship partner to have. Yeah.
no. It's in all aspects. And so when you look at that, hearing and being open-minded enough to hear other people's perspectives is obviously an important piece of that as well. But
Mhm.
there's still a lot of people out there that are really starting to understand that diversity is not just a check mark. It's not just something to put on your ESG report. It's actually a way of building a business that is sustainable. And if you want a financially sustainable business, if you want to grow and scale, that's a big piece of it.
Definitely. Are there principles and elements that you've infused into how you're choosing to operate and grow Toast that you are trying to instill in the companies that you partner with? Are there
Yeah,
tried and true, these are my 3 commandments that I try to live and breathe by, and I encourage our partners to do the same?
I think it's really important to ensure that people are bringing their full selves to work and that we're creating these spaces for people to do so, because we talk about diversity and inclusion. That's one thing, but diversity comes in hiring, and then inclusion comes in the space that you're creating for people to thrive in. And I think one of the reasons, like, okay, what's the secret sauce? How have we been able to scale this thing to like almost 30,000 women? We do 7 figures. This has been crazy. And I've been stopping often to think about it. And we just did an exercise with our team where we found Toast's top 2 values. One of them is making a difference, and the other one is balance. I think it's really interesting to highlight balance because I speak about this often with our clients. To have balance doesn't mean what we think it means. I don't think it exists. Like, work-life balance does not actually exists. It's this elusive thing that we try and tell people to accomplish. But here it says to have balance means you prioritize wholeness over hustle. So you recognize that a fulfilling life includes multiple dimensions: work, health, relationships, rest, and joy, and you actively work to honor each one. You set boundaries, respect your capacity. You do not chase success at the cost of your values. You know when to go all in and when to take a rest. You resist glorifying burnout and see rest as productive. So living with balance means your ambition doesn't come at the cost of your peace. And when I speak with other founders, including some of my clients, one of them specifically, he's off for the whole month of August. I'm like, how are you off for the whole month of August? He's like, because balance, this is it. Like, you create these spaces where you can grow and you know when to lean in and hustle and when to take a step back and make sure that you can take care of yourself so that you can keep pushing forwards. I would say that's one of our number one biggest ones.
Mhm. When you're trying to strike that balance within your own company and also trying to support other companies with trying to figure that out, you're pointing on something very important. Balance is not something that's stagnant. It's going to be changing as your life changes and as things come on and off of your plate. The fallacy of work-life balance is that people think it's going to be this beautifully,
Totally.
perfectly weighted thing all the time. But in reality, it's going to be, sometimes everything's going to be work. Sometimes you're going to be completely off from work.
Yep.
Sometimes it's going to be all family. The dynamics of how swiftly those things can change. What insight can you share on trying to deal with the ever-changing nature of that balance and when to go all in and know when to step back beyond intuition and listening to yourself?
I was going to say intuition's so big. It really is, though.
It
And
is, yeah.
women, society teaches us not to always, and it's tough. This is actually one of the topics of our Toast Summit this year. We have the chief customer officer for Google coming in to moderate this conversation on balancing data-driven decisions with trusting your gut. A really unknown fact, again, I am married to an airline pilot. He flies Dreamliners, like 787 long-haul airplanes. He is trained that if he is coming in for a landing and he's set everything and something feels off, but he's gone through all the checklists. He's triple checked and everything is completely fine as it should be, but something feels off. He's actually trained to pull up and go around and start again from scratch and like reset yourself because your gut is that strong. I think a big piece of this is trusting that gut and knowing your boundaries. What is sold to us right now as self-care is actually just self-soothing. You can't go get a massage and all of a sudden your burnout is going to be solved,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, you can't pedicure your way out of burnout. It doesn't work.
Totally.
Yeah.
You're not going to go for one little hike and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, I feel way better
You're like,
at
"Oh, I
work.
love my boss again.
I
I
know.
climbed a tree. I feel great." Yeah.
It's really understanding what that capacity is and then respecting that and drawing boundaries on it. It's
Yeah.
not even our job to make sure people uphold those boundaries. It's our job to draw them and then set them. As I've scaled Toast, I burnt out really hard in the first year that Toast existed, as I think it happens for a lot of founders. My mentor, who's incredible, shout out to Shelly, who holds my hand through so much, but she would tell me, go outside, take your fucking shoes off and like put your feet on the bare earth, April, and go like breathe.
Touch grass. Yeah.
Yeah. And she's like, build it into your calendar. I was booking flights this week, looking at like my travel calendar coming up. And I'm like, great. So I know I'm actually going to take these days off. And I'm going to take these days off too, because I'm not going to be able to go all in on work unless I actually build in some alone time and some time for myself to rest in between. And that's only because the work's always going to be there. It's being really intentional, listening to yourself. When have I hit the limit? Is my body telling me, no, I don't want to do that? And then actually respecting that capacity, because we could just keep pushing through all the time, but it's not going to be beneficial to anyone.
But you point on something really great, which is I burnt out in the first year of starting Toast. And I think there's so many founders that we've worked with that are in that grind, initial growth push of getting the company off the ground. Maybe they just had a kid or they just got married. There's a big personal thing and there's a big professional thing that came onto their plate. And they're trying to strike that balance at the gate to avoid burnouts. As a founder, what do you think professionally is the best thing that you can do for yourself to scale as a person with your company in a way that is going to be sustainable? So
You said it earlier. It's not, you can't have a bunch of yes people around you. I have a personal board of directors, but the people that I go to that, again, have all different perspectives and different life experiences. I have an old enterprise white man who's almost retired. And then I have another mom who's slaying it. And then I have my main mentor who's exited her own startup. Everyone has these different experiences that I bring things to, and all of them love to call me on my shit. One of the best things you can do for yourself is surrounding yourself with people who get it. And all of that wholeness that you bring to your life. So whether that is being a parent, being a caregiver for aging parents, I'm doing that for both of my parents right now. Both my parents are sick. And I need people who've experienced that, like all of these things together. So I'm not doing it alone. We're not meant to do anything alone. And as we've seen in the world, there's so much power in simply saying me too. I tell people often, surround yourself with people that are going to actually push you. Surround yourself with people who are going to tell you the truth. And the more that you scale, and if you become more of a public figure, which has been very strange for me to have this like wall of narcissism behind me now, because people will come up and be like, oh, I saw you on stage or I saw you on the cover of that magazine. And people will just try and placate you and be like, oh yeah, I think you're so smart and you know these things. But I need people to be like, that's a really stupid idea. Or have you thought about this? And you don't have to listen to everyone's, but having those other perspectives has been really, really important for me in my ability to scale this company, is having someone look at things from a different lens to be like, oh, have you thought about this as a revenue stream? Or have you thought about how you're showing up in market with this brand? This may backfire on you. All of those things, because you'll find lots of people who would tell you the good stuff. Much harder to find people that'll tell you the hard truth.
I totally understand what you're saying. With a lot of the partnerships we have right now, we're in those types of relationships where we got to be the person to tell you when you're doing something that isn't, serving the goal that you communicated to us at the beginning.
Yes.
We're here to make you money. We're not here to make you feel happy and warm and fuzzy on the inside, because we'll get to that point once you've, achieved your goals.
Yeah. And it's very easy too to not want to hear that hard stuff. I've seen other founders or other executives that are just like, I don't want someone else to tell me how to run my business. All
Mhm.
right. But you've never done that before. I think about that often. All the problems I face now are problems I only ever could have dreamed of facing. The things that I solve for now, I'm like, well, it's a pretty good problem to have. It means my company's scaling. But
Mhm.
also, I haven't encountered these before. So why wouldn't you lean on or at
Yeah.
least have someone challenge your thinking?
A big piece of it is self-awareness. Everyone needs to know that they are not the subject matter expert of every subject. There's going to be people that can add immense value if you let them. And the only
Yeah.
person that's going to suffer if you say no too early is you.
But that's ego. I see people operating in ego so much, and I'm like, all right, well, that's going to be your downfall. You're going to self implode if you sit there sitting in that ego spot thinking that you're smarter than everyone else, because we're not. I think I'm insanely intelligent, and I also think that I'm very confident and I'm so good at building relationships. I can find common ground with probably anyone on the planet, which is great. But there's other things that I'm really not. And so I hire for my weaknesses. I make sure people help me highlight that. And I will flat out go to people and be like, where do you think my place was in this situation? Where did I fuck up? Help me understand where you think that I could have screwed up in this.
Yeah. Being open to that feedback and
It's
receptive to the
self-awareness.
input.
You're
Yeah.
right. That's
Yeah.
exactly what you said. Yeah. And you
Yeah.
probably see a lot of ego too. Working with other humans, I see so much where you can't say it either, but sometimes I'll be talking to someone and I'm like,
Yeah. When I'm not working with the agency, I also am in the entertainment industry, do comedy. So you want to talk about ego? We want to talk about male-dominated industries. Trying to be a loud, confident woman in that space too, very hard.
yes.
Huge egos that basically dictate the rules of the game for everybody else. It's amazing to see the self-destructive nature of what a big, harsh, impenetrable ego will do. And
Yeah.
it's a really quick way to screw a lot of really good things up.
Wild. I think especially as you're scaling a company, you're obviously gonna hit a limit of how much one or two people can handle. You're gonna hit this spot where it's like, well, now you need a board of directors, an actual board of directors, or you need advisors, but like you can't scale things alone. You just can't.
I'm curious about that limit because at what point, from the founder's perspective, do you get to a point where you're like, I can't do this anymore? I need to take some of my hats off. I need to expand the team. What does that process look like for you when you do get to that threshold? And where is the next threshold? Are you like, there's a limit coming? I can see it in the horizon. It's coming for us.
That's 100% what you should be doing is like hiring before you hit that limit. When you're looking at your strategy and building that out, you must need to hire for who you need 3 years down the road. Obviously, I'm a bootstrap founder, and so that's different for me. I don't have venture capital to just hire all these people because I know I want to be here in 5 years. So it
Mm-hmm.
does look a little different for me.
Mm-hmm.
But again, I think it's that piece. I read a great biography on the Glossier founder. Have you read that one? Called
No, I
Glossier?
haven't.
Fascinating story. But her demise was ego. But it was also because she didn't recognize that she was not the right person to run this $250 million company. She was a really great CEO when they were a $10 million company, but she was not the right person. And she couldn't put her ego aside to step there, which is really fascinating. There's a lot of different tools out there that are available to us now for us to take a look at, okay, where are my weaknesses? What is too
Mm-hmm.
much for me to carry? I recognize there's a gap on our team right now and we're filling it. I have an amazing accountant. But I think my next executive hire will be someone with a financial background because I have never worked in finance before. And that limit is almost something that I look at. We're not there yet, but I already need to be aware that that is a blind spot, that is a hole in the business right now where the next full-time hire that is a leader likely will have that background. If I waited till it was too late and we already were in need of a controller, then I've already made a mistake there.
Are there any other areas similar to that in your company that you're looking at now beyond that financial piece?
I definitely need more executive support. Like I said, my co-founder left in April of this year. I had a fractional COO come in for a couple months, which was incredible. We rolled out a new strategy. We've got our 3-year strategy and goals. We just rolled it out last week, which I'm incredibly excited about. We're adding 2 more recruiters to the team right now. We're currently sourcing for them, which has been really exciting as well. Next year, I'd like to be a little less operational, and we'll probably be looking for more COO type role. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
So lots of things went down the pipe.
I know. And to see the strategy once it's done, we've been doing so much digging into what it could look like. I have the best board of advisors too. They're so incredible. And I first went to them and I was like, "Hey, this is what I'm going to do over the next 3 years. What do you guys think?" And they were all like, "Nailed it. Let's do it. We're all on
Yeah,
board."
that is a success story for being that vessel of the universe. Like being able to take into consideration what people are saying, those perspectives, and implement them in a way that makes sense for your company. So that
Yes.
when you get to that point, it's not everyone going, "Girl, you're out to lunch. What do you
Yep.
mean this is what you're doing?"
Yep.
Nothing comes as a surprise because they've been looped in and there's that transparency where they can see what you're doing and it's making
Totally.
sense and everyone's feeling comfortable.
And making sure, because we are a social enterprise too, right? Purpose is very important to us. We're not just here for profit. Obviously, I am too. I would like to pay for my kids' tuition and make sure to feed them. That's important. But also, we have a purpose. I remind my team often that in this we're not a nonprofit, but we're not fully a for-profit because we still need this purpose, that our values are really important to us. And our number one mission and value is to increase women's representation in tech. Absolutely everything we do has to drive to that. This year, at one point, we'd started driving down a road for a tech build, and I very quickly put up a stop sign, and I was like, is this following our mission? Is this tech build going to increase women's representation in tech? The answer was no. Even though we had already invested money into it and we already started driving in that direction, we fully killed the project and went to another direction. There's hard decisions that have to be made like that sometimes. And it sucks when those get made because we had to redo some work that it was already done. Staying values driven is really important for us as well.
I think that purpose-driven piece is what gets you through the hard times too. If the only reason you're at work every day is for the money, that's not gonna be motivating enough real quick.
You don't care about the problem you're solving.
If you don't care about the problem you're solving, you're not gonna solve the problem effectively. You just aren't.
Yep. You have to have experienced the problem too.
You at least have to understand it in a real world way.
I agree. I saw an organization, I can't remember the name of it, but someone tried to add me and they own a similar recruitment firm in the US that is aimed at hiring women, and it's all owned and run by men. I was so shocked. I was like, what do you mean you own a women's recruitment firm? It was so strange to me. What would you know about how much women struggle as the only on a tech team?
It's like when you find out that men designed underwire bras. You're like, yeah, I can tell.
Or
because they suck.
Flow app. I don't know if you've ever used the Flow app. I love the Flow app. It's
I
my
haven't actually used it, but I've heard amazing things.
It's so good, but it's designed by and owned by men.
Interesting.
I had no idea.
It's not even that. It's more about trying to solve a problem that you cannot fully understand. Being on the power holder side of the gender binary, it's very hard to engage with those problems in a way that is fulsome and effective. Even if you're the most empathetic person that is not a woman or not a genderqueer person and you are trying your best to understand it, you can understand it very well. You can know a lot about it. You can emulate those feelings within yourself, but there's going to be a piece lacking, and that's that lived experience. You can see all of the ways that it impacts your life throughout the course of your life. You can tangibly see all of the women in your family going through the exact same thing, all of the same barriers in their lives that are showing up in your lives. That's what informs the solution to these problems. It's not just being the smartest or the best CEO. You have to understand the issue in the way that it interacts with people in the real world.
Totally. I think about that often. Because there's a lot of things that I have not experienced in my life. And I caveat that when I talk about things, I'm like, I don't have that lived experience. I can understand it. I can read about it. I can listen to people tell me about what that lived experience felt like for them, but I can't fully understand it in that way because I haven't lived it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think founders forget all of those pieces that are very hard to quantify. If you can't quantify it, it's very hard to understand its impact on your business in a metric standpoint. A lot of people are like, I want to see the numbers, which I understand. A lot of these things do show up in your KPIs and in your reporting, but you can't only care about it when you're able to quantify it. You have to be able to take it into account at all stages of your business. You need to be able to sit at the table of your tech build and be like, is this working to solve the problem we're trying to solve? Yes or no? Yeah.
That's even when you look at that board of advisors, whether it's your personal board of directors that you have as a human being or an actual board that you've put together.
Mm-hmm.
For me, I don't want to take advice from anyone who hasn't done it already, who hasn't had that lived experience, whatever that may be. And look at even my board of advisors. I built, spoiler alert, coming in January, we will be launching a nonprofit arm. It will be more so for research and data and academia of Toast. But when I look at my board of advisors, I found someone who has a shit ton of experience in nonprofit. She's got that lived experience. She's done it. She also is heavily involved in decolonizing corporate workplaces, all of these interesting things. So I grabbed her. I grabbed a woman who helped take 4 companies from I've only built things 0 to 1. She's taken things 1 to 800. She worked at Shopify and 1Password. So put her on the board. She's got operational experience in these things. I brought her in. I brought a lawyer in who has only worked and sat on the board of a whole bunch of startups, which is incredible. And then I brought a woman in who spent most of her career in recruiting and is now a chief people officer. These are all the things my company needs that I don't per se have, but they all have done it and can come in and now tell me how to do that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's been incredible.
Yeah. A common theme, the solution from the conversation we've had about the secret sauce to scaling, and it's have an effective network of people that have different strengths than you. Listen to them and take into consideration what they say and apply it.
And that's going to be your downfall. You think you're the smartest person? You think you're smarter than everyone else?
You are your biggest challenge then at that point.
Which sucks. So you can't see past that. But I've seen that in founders. You got to get surrounded by the right people. And my mother actually told me this when I first became a mom. And it was actually great advice. Listen to what everyone else is going to tell you about being a mom. She's like, take what you want and leave the rest at the door. And it's so true. I could sit and listen to my board and maybe they'll make me think differently about stuff. Maybe I'll leave there and be like, no, I'm actually not going to do any of those things because I know my company better. That's fine. But still put yourself in spaces where you can hear different opinions.
Make sure you have the spaces for those to be shared.
Yeah.
Whether or not you choose to accept what someone's saying to you
totally
is from the fact that you need to make sure that those spaces remain a pillar of your company.
Oh my gosh.
The second that you're like, I don't think we need this meeting anymore, I think we can dissolve the board, then you're hooped.
Yeah.
You're not going to have those people that are like, hey, this might be crazy down the lines.
Yeah. Yep.
You're not going to have that feedback loop that's conforming your decisions and your micro to macro adjustments. And then you're not going to realize till a couple of years down the line and you're like, oh, shoot, no.
Yeah.
Look where I am. If only, I had some support or some insights along the way that could have prevented this.
Yeah, it's an important piece. It's the same reason when we talk about these eco chambers that we create. We're having our Toast Summit on September 25th, and we want men in the room. I don't want us to continue to just have these conversations with other women about the struggles that women are having. It's really important to bring different perspectives in. So bringing men into these conversations are also incredibly, incredibly important.
Even if you have a bunch of women all struggling with the same issue, with similar perspectives, you're still going to run into that echo chamber issue. Part of diversity is men also have to be brought to the table.
Yeah.
And we have to give them a shot of understanding what it is that we're trying to solve and the issues that we're facing.
And we have to actually invite them in too, because I've found a lot of men are like, oh, I didn't know if I could be there because I didn't want to take up a spot from a woman, which is a fair, valid. But we have to bring other people into these conversations too. that they
Yeah.
understand
And if
it.
we want for culture to change and diverse and equitable hiring to be the norm,
Yeah.
men need to understand the value in it, understand why it's important for them to apply in their organizations. And it's not just a quote unquote women's issue.
Yeah. You got
Yeah.
it.
Looking to the future now, I know you have some hiring coming up, but is there any other big milestone you're going to be looking to hit here, whether it be a few months, couple years? And what's your plan of action for getting there?
I've got some, I thought they were huge, audacious goals. And my accountant and board seems to think that they're not. They're like, oh, yeah, these are super achievable. I'm like, shit, should I aim higher then? But I definitely want to do 10 million in the next 3 years, which I think is very achievable for us, which is exciting. With our new tech build that's coming out, hoping to see over 50,000 women a year come through our platform, which is fantastic. We've got some cool AI tools that we're releasing as well to help women with the job hunt, so that it's not just us placing women, but how do we make sure that your resume is great? What kind of negotiations do you need for salary? How can we support with these different things? We've got some really exciting stuff rolling out in January with this tech build, so stay tuned on that. We have not named what it'll be yet, so working on that and then we are working with, hopefully with a very large university, which I can't name yet, but a very large university on a case study on some of the work that we're doing as well. So we're not stopping. It seems to be full steam ahead, which is very exciting.
Just based on what we've been able to talk about today, I think that you're well within the ballpark of being able to achieve all your wildest dreams. What a cool place to be able to kind of go
Yeah.
around and go, I freaking did that.
There are so many times, like we just finished our year end, and I was like, how did we do that? Also, there was so much change this year and so many things happening, but I can say, even as a person, I've grown this year. Actually, in December, I looked at my horoscope and it told me this year was going to be really hard. And I was like, oh, I don't want that.
Another one? Yeah.
I just want to chill. I don't want a hard year. But it has been probably one of the hardest of my whole life. Obviously, one of my hardest of my whole career. But I can safely say I've never felt more like April than I ever have. And I've never felt more confident than I do right now. And so it's
Amazing. Yeah.
super cool place to be.
Yeah. I understand the power of that feeling. I did a big career change when joining freshly. I left the federal government of Canada and I had been with the Fed since before I graduated university.
Oh my gosh.
I thought that was going to be my whole life when I realized that what I studied for and what I planned for was making me horrifically unhappy.
Yep.
I was like, shit. Do I just change the entire trajectory of my life right now? And I did. And I found comedy and I found a job that highlights my skills and doesn't feel like pulling teeth every single day. It's amazing what you can realize about yourself when you take a chance on yourself, truly.
Oh my gosh. I tell people all the time that too. And there's that quote by Sheryl Sandberg that says your career should be a jungle gym, not a ladder. And I love that because people were scared to take risks. It's scary. Change is scary, not knowing what's going to happen. But if you double down on yourself, I'm recognizing I'm really good at my job and I do things that I like. How nice is that?
The world is like you go to school and then you go get job and then you work job hard and then you get money and you have family. Everything is linear and perfect and don't deviate from this plan or everything will be bad. Then the first time you deviate from that plan, you're like, oh my God, this feels so much better. Why was I fed this weird plan that I couldn't deviate from?
My best friend is probably the most philosophical person you've ever met in your whole life. And she said to me once that societal structures oversimplify the human experience.
Totally. I agree.
I was like, what did you just say? And I keep repeating it. Oh, shout out to Ariel. She's so smart. We have these structures that we tell people, you have to do this and then you have to, but that's not the human experience. You might wake up and be like,
it's based on
I don't want this.
Behavioral patterns. It's not based on our nature or what we need to feel fulfilled. It's based on what humans have done historically. It's not based on anything specific to you. If you're applying this one size fits all approach to your own life, you're not going to succeed. You're not going to feel good because you're not doing something that is tailored to the uniqueness of you.
I tell people to make choices all the time. What year would that have been? 2015. I lit a match and I set fire to my whole life. I got divorced that year. I went back to school. I quit drinking. I've been sober for almost 11 years now. I fully was like, This isn't the life I want. I never could have imagined. But this is why I tell people, dream bigger, even if it seems so insane. Like, and then once you get there, dream even bigger. Our minds, I'm big into manifestation and bringing things to reality. And I just think people need to keep pushing and taking risks.
That is a perfect note to end on. Take
Love it.
risks, follow your dreams, believe in yourself, and don't lock yourself in an echo chamber of yes men.
That was it. It's the whole podcast.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, April, for joining us today. And thank you all for joining us on this episode of Control Alt GAB. Be sure to check out Toast on LinkedIn. Go to their website, trytoast.ca. Follow April Hicke on LinkedIn. Come watch her talk. Read all of her magazines. Ask her any questions. Get set up on the Toast Network if you're a woman in tech looking to hire. If you're an organization looking to hire more women, check them out.
Thank you.
Find them.
Thanks, Gabrielle.
Thank you for listening to the Control Alt GAB podcast. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe. And I'll see you on the next one.